The MCU has become the highest grossing film franchise in history by earning over $30 billion. It all started back in 2008 with Iron Man. Now, whether or not you were more of a Captain America guy, a Hulk guy, a T'Challa, rest in peace, or Thor, it has always been undeniable that the glue that kept it all together was Iron Man.
Oh, actually, he's the boss. I just pay for everything and design everything and make everyone look cooler.
Evident now more than ever by the state of the MCU currently. Along with these movies came video game tie-ins, which makes sense because that's what used to happen back then, but also because Tony's suits and abilities are perfect for a video game. He can fly, shoot stuff out of his hands, fight, he's quippy, he basically has all the elements to be a perfect video game main character. So how can you screw this up? All you have to do is plop him into interesting scenarios to take advantage of his skills, and bam, you have a very fun game. Well, by the reviews, it looks like they failed to do that with both of these games. It kind of hit me while looking at the release date that we're getting close at these movies and games being 20 years old. I actually do remember playing one of the demos back in the day, but it's been so long I don't really remember which one it was. And that's pretty much been the extent of my experience with these games. So I want to play them today to see for myself if these games are actually as bad as they said. Let's take a look at the two MCU Iron Man games. Made by Sega and released on everything of the time, Iron Man the game loosely follows the movie. While in Afghanistan showing off his shiny new weapons, Tony Stark is kidnapped by the Ten Ring terrorist group and is ordered to build him a missile. Instead, he and his other captive buddy Yinsen build the first chunky Iron Man suit. With it, Tony destroys their camp and escapes, but Yinsen didn't make it. He got. R.I.P. Yinsen. Back in the US, Tony says he's not selling weapons anymore and starts working in secret on his new and improved suit with the help of his AI assistant butler, Jarvis. Tony's business partner, Obadiah Stane, hates the fact that they're out of the weapon business, probably almost as much as he hates how his name sounds like a villain from an old-timey western flick, Obadiah Stane. So he starts pulling strings behind Tony's back. To test out his new suit, Tony destroys a stockpile of weapons the Maggia crime family were providing to the Ten Rings. He also reveals to his friend Lieutenant Rhodes and Pepper Potts, his assistant, that he is Iron Man and heads out to cause even more damage to the Maggia's compound. Meanwhile, Obadiah recovers the OG chunky suit and teams up with AIM and this Russian dude that has made a Temu version of Tony's suit for himself with titanium. Together, Obadiah plans to make a suit of his own, and he sends out this Titanium Man to take out Tony and recover his suit. After defeating the Titanium Man, Tony finds out what Obadiah has been up to this whole time, and shortly after, Stane ambushes him, stealing his art reactor, aka his power source. Rhodey rescues him, and AIM kidnaps Pepper to use her as bait for Iron Man. Tony saves her and destroys their proton cannon along with defeating the Melter, which gives Obadiah time to build his Ironmonger suit, who Tony confronts in as the final boss of the game. So it's pretty close to the movie. There are flashbacks throughout with our buddy Yinsen in the cave giving Tony some mentoring, which shows you what's fueling his change of heart, both literally and figuratively, I guess. Robert Downey Jr., Sean Taub, and Terrence Howard reprise their roles from the film. They're all pretty good, I guess, simply because you can tell that there was some effort put in.
I'm only gonna say this once, Tony. Stroll out of my airspace now.
Funny, you caught me on my way out.
Meredith Monroe voices Pepper Potts, and I thought she did a great job. She actually fooled me for the most part. I actually wasn't sure if this was Miss Goopy Goop's Gwyneth Paltrow or somebody else. Her character model kind of looks like her too, even though they clearly took some liberties in some other areas.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
They must have scanned Jeff Bridges or something because he looks pretty good, as well as Terrence Howard. And RDJ looks recognizable, but he has this goofy Uncanny Valley thing going on. He's completely dead behind the eyes, and sometimes he does this weird blink thing. Like, the way he blinks, he doesn't shut his eyes at the same time. So sometimes it gives him like a wonky, sleepy eye. It's weird. But overall, the cutscenes aren't bad, especially for the time. I feel like they're okay. The environments are decent enough as well. There is some expected pop-in, but they did a good job with some of the open areas. But the missions in the city do look pretty dead. They do justify it by calling an evac and saying that everybody in the city left, but it still just feels really dull. They do mix up the locations enough to not make it feel like you're stuck in the same place, so I guess I kinda appreciate that. So at the start of the game, you take control over the first chunky Iron Man suit. This suit can't fly yet, so you are essentially just a walking tank, taking out enemies and blowing up cargo with your missiles, melee attacks, and flamethrower. After that, you get the Mark II suit. Now you can fly and hover and do all kind of other stuff. And from this point forward, the game feels totally different. Melee combat is essentially non-existent. The game turns into more of a flying game than anything else. He can shoot and fire missiles, which work fine enough, and he also has a unibeam. But there's like this weird half pressing of the triggers going on, like if you hold them all the way down it does a charge shot, and if you halfway press it is when it shoots. But they also use this for the flying. Halfway pressing it makes you hover, while pressing it all the way elevates. It's also kind of sensitive, and it really takes a while to get the feel of the hovering and the flying. Like, I understand it makes sense from a design standpoint, but it seems like something that would be tough to execute for gameplay, especially back in 08 with these, not top of the line controllers. While flying, he does move pretty quick and he feels swift, and you can also dodge incoming attacks. I did feel like the sense of speed was missing. He needed to be a little bit faster, but it's nothing too bad. What is kind of bad is how jerky the camera is. Plus, you couple this with how sensitive the flying controls are, and the fact that he zooms in and out every time you're hovering, and I can see people getting dizzy from this very easily. This took me a while to get used to as well. You actually have to be kind of gentle with the joystick when you're like steering, because if you press it all the way, he does this very sharp turn. But overall, the sense of being Iron Man is kind of there, mainly because of this routing energy mechanic that I thought was a really cool idea, that if they would have focused on and developed a bit more, could have been actually great. So with the D-pad, you can focus energy on life support, melee, weapons, or thrusters, which gives you a better cooldown time and energy usage depending on what it's on. Low on health, put it on the L and recover faster. Are you shooting a lot of shit? Well, have it on the H so that the energy is used less. Want to fly faster? Put on the T for the thrusters. You want to fight with the melee attacks? That really sucks, so it's better for you to put it on the W and fly up in the air and shoot. This idea, like I said, is pretty cool, especially in tougher levels where you're just constantly switching, like, oh shit, I'm dying. You gotta go to the life support. I gotta get out of here. Put on the thrusters. Oh yeah, you want a piece of me? You put the W on to shoot a bunch of shit. But it still feels like it's at a very basic level of what it could be, but the base of the idea I found interesting. You can also grab things out of the air, missiles or jets, and start mashing to get the pilots out. But anything that had to do with catching things out of the air for the mission's sake, I felt to be very tough and honestly kind of annoying. Especially when you're out in the open, it just feels tough because you have to be on the specific spot, hover while in their line of sight, and then time the grab. And the timing is a bit goofy too. The missiles are easier because they're locked on you, so it comes right at you, but trying to snag a jet out of the air is pretty tough. But the worst part of the gameplay for me by far was its lock-on system. It's very flimsy and loose, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, Lock on. You aim at things and the reticle focuses on it, but if something else comes in range, it focuses on that. The camera never really locks onto that, so you can't really do like a 360 around whatever you're locking onto. If this was snappier, it would be so much better, but it's not, so it kind of sucks. Completing missions and doing the extra objectives gives you funds that you can then use in between missions to upgrade part of your suit. At first, the differences aren't really felt, but there are little things that start to mold your playstyle, especially with the weapons like the fire rate and damage it deals, plus its energy consumption. And there's cooler stuff like turning your damage into energy, but that gets unlocked in the later levels. Level design is pretty basic. You're dropped in pretty open areas with the same type of objectives, and this gets repetitive really quick. They do add bonus objectives that earn you more funds, but it's still not enough to keep a fresh mission to mission. It's the same shit the whole game. kill and or destroy the thing or stop them from destroying the thing, you do that and you move on to the next. The type of enemies don't change much either throughout. There are guys in some jetpack. There's a lot of weapons from the ground like missile launchers or tanks. There's this one level with the submarine, but again, it's kind of like the same shit. Just fly around and shoot them. It does feature a couple, I don't even want to call them that, boss fights. Whiplash is one of them, which I found weird that they didn't save him for the second game. I wonder if they knew what, Marvel had planned coming up. But there are other guys that really don't really feel like boss fights. It just feels like souped up enemies, No fight has like that, oh shit, this is a boss fight feeling. Mainly because of the game's direction, it's just like an extra bad guy pops up. Plus they're pretty easy to take down. Most of the game is pretty easy. I didn't think it was even possible to die. If your life bar drains all the way, he just powers down and reboots. But if this happens 3 times, then you die. I say most of the game is easy because all of a sudden there's like a crazy difficulty spike. The first mission I actually failed was the 10th mission, and I think there's like 13 or 14 missions in total. And this just came out of nowhere. But it's the stupid kind of difficulty spike that I abhor, where they just add a crazy amount of enemies on screen, like a lot, like so many that you don't even know where you're getting hit from, to the point where it feels like there's nothing you can do. So I died a lot here. It felt kind of impossible. Until I changed my approach and tweaked the upgrades a little bit better to fit this specific mission. But yeah, this mission's bullshit. I hated it. Because the game doesn't really coach you into changing your approach the other 9 missions. You're gonna wait until 3 or 4 missions before the end of the game to be like, oh yeah, you should pay attention to what the hell's going on. Like it just doesn't make sense. Got me stuttering and shit. And that was really the only mission that I found to be like really hard and annoying. The final fight versus Obadiah was meh. The problem with this fight, it just goes on for way too long with nothing that really interesting happening. Again, you're in the empty city flying around shooting at him until he breaks down, then you get close for a melee attack and you cause some damage and you fly up in the air and do it again while he's spamming one-liners the entire time. It's pretty underwhelming.
I'm gonna take you down, Tony. You and your suit. You're trying to stop progress. It can't be done.
And then it just ends. It felt like I skipped the final cutscenes or something. Like Obadiah doesn't say like, ah shit, you got me brother, or none of that shit. It just ends.
Final regulator destroyed, sir.
Once you beat the game, you can play the one-man army mode, where you get time and a set amount of enemies that you're supposed to take out, and you complete it and you unlock more suits and levels. It's really just like a whole lot of nothing that adds extra content. Even though it sounds like I'm hating, I do think that this score is a bit harsh, but it's not a great game either. I'm not really defending it that whole much. I guess I just saw the potential that it actually could have been great with everything that Iron Man can do, but his weapons aren't varied enough. You don't recreate any iconic moments from the movie except maybe escaping Afghanistan. It is close to the movie enough, and there's pockets of fun before you realize that it gets repetitive very soon. And like I said, I did like the rerouting energy mechanic. That's a really cool idea. But it just feels like there was a lot left on the table, which means that there's a lot of room to improve on, which I hope they did for the second game.
Reinforcements now. Tony, did you catch that?
Oh yeah, the party's just getting started.
Iron Man 2, the official video game of the movie.
Released 2 years later alongside the movie for basically everything, including the BlackBerry playbook. Unlike the first game, Iron Man 2 does not follow the movie. What takes place in the game happens after, and has shades of Age of Ultron. The game starts with Iron Man protecting Jarvis from an attack. An EMP goes off and shuts it down. And Tony has a heart attack as well, so Jarvis is now compromised. After the EMP, he finds out that it was Rexon who's behind the attack. He then decides to destroy the data spine so they don't get any of Jarvis's archives. Nick Fury comes into the picture and says that General Cheadle has control of a Tesla facility, and on an escort mission you run into a Roxxon Arminger and find out that Cheadle has been working with AIM to create the Crimson Dynamo suit. Fury sends Black Widow to spy on the development of the suit in Siberia. Then Kirsten DeWitt, Shatalov's partner from AIM, finds out that S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming and breaks up its partnership, not before Shatalov orders to prep the Crimson Dynamo armor. After saving Natasha and defeating Shatalov, it's so hard to say Shatalov, the Russian guy, he reveals that AIM was behind the theft of Jarvis and they plan to create Ultimo with it, and that DeWitt is behind it all. On top of that, DeWitt has a secret project called Protein, where he developed the tech to be able to merge with the suit and become Ultimo. So this fool basically turned himself into Megatron. There's also some extra like little nothing missions where you grab a Arminger and reprogram it, so now he's your friend and you have to take down these bases and other stuff, but it all leads to a throwdown versus Giant Ultimo. Like I said, it kind of has shades of Age of Ultron, just not as cool. But now knowing how the second film turned out, maybe it was a better idea to come up with something totally different. And this story is not bad per se, I guess it's better than the movie. Don Cheadle replaces Mr. Math Terrence Howard, like he did in the movie, and Sam Jackson also reprises his role for this game. I was surprised to see that Eric Loomis voiced Iron Man. I could have swore this was RDJ. He did a great job.
Brody, they're coming for the plane. Take off. I'll jump.
But by far the worst character is Black Widow. She sounds awfully dry and bland, she has zero emotions, she really sounds like AI.
No, but this entire facility is on full alert. Getting a clear extraction point is going to be difficult.
I love a party.
And she don't look that great either, she looks like the parody version of Black Widow. I'm not sure if the character models of the whole game are better or worse, I really can't tell. Tony looks like the Mexican version of RDJ. And the Wonky's eye is back and better than ever. One eye closes more than the other when he's blink. I don't know why, but it's super noticeable here. And Miss Goopy Goops ain't even close this time. She just looks like a basic ass white girl. The environments look okay. I just don't think that anything looks better than the first game does. And this came out 2 years later, so I don't understand what happened there. But there are other details that I do appreciate, like visible damage on enemy weapons and to the Iron Man suit itself. At the start of the game, similar to the first one, you start on the ground, but unlike the first game, there's actually real melee combat in this game with button combos and everything. You can grapple and even hack machines to turn them into allies. But what's kind of dumb, because of course you can't just have nice things, there has to be something stupid, is that you have to equip the combat routines. Like, for example, there's a dragon one and I forget what the other ones are called. So you're limited to that specific combo package until you upgrade it and get more or switch it. Which is kind of dumb. There should be no reason why he couldn't just be able to do them all. Like, that should be a program within the suit. It shouldn't be something interchangeable. It's not like a weapon or something. I don't know. It didn't make no sense. The rerouting of the energy is back, but it's done automatically. So depending on what you're doing, the energy will be allocated to that skill. When you're in flight, it's rerouted to thrusters, so health recovers slowly. And while on the ground is the opposite. You get more power to the weapons and health recovers faster. But I liked it better than the first because this one takes the freedom of you picking what you want when you want it. So there's less freedom here. So now the D-pad changes your weapons. You can equip 2 weapons per hand and control them with the triggers. The circle around it is the ammo and it works on a cooldown system. Whenever one runs out, you just switch to the other. There's also no more halfway pressing the trigger, which is really good. Now if you hold it down, it's a charge fire. And the unity beam is exactly the same. The flying controls are a bit different as well. There's no more hovering like before, that's done automatically. You go up and down by pressing face buttons, which I was not a fan of. And if you double tap a bumper, you initiate flight mode. I will say the camera is way better this time around. It's not as jerky as it was, but the sense of speed is completely off. Everything feels much slower, even the missiles coming at you, which you can deflect. But the best improvement by far was the lock-on system, and actually locks on now. And it's as snappy as I would want it to be, so this makes it 1,000 times better. But even with these slight improvements, oddly enough, the feeling of being inside the suit and being Iron Man, I felt it more in the first game. I'm not even sure why. I think because 2 feels more arcadey, and the first game, for some reason, maybe it's the camera angle, just feels a little bit more intimate. I might be wrong here. As you can see on the cover, War Machine is on there. So before the missions, you can select to play him if you want, and he has a couple missions of his own. He plays virtually the same. He is equipped with different weapons, but they both have special abilities that they can do once per mission. War Machine increases his firepower and Iron Man gets invincibility. So as you beat the levels, you'll unlock more suits and get data to spend on the upgrades. Now, the upgrade interface I've found to be a bit goofy. It actually took me a while to completely understand what that was going on because they kind of just drop you in. So at first I was just fumbling around, buying stuff a lo pendejo, really getting the feel of things. So each suit that you unlock is basically a different loadout. You can buy parts that will grant an extra little sum to the item that you equip it to. You can also buy and upgrade fighting packages and different weapons as well. Iron Man has his hand repulsor, he has rockets, lasers, he's got a few weapons to choose from, but he can only equip 4 of them at a time. And I think Rhodey is stuck with his weapons, but you can upgrade his gun. There's shotguns, machine guns, rockets, that sort of stuff. So before the missions, you equip your upgrades and whatever you feel like you need for that mission, and then you have to wait for the suit to get put on them every single time. At least there's way more to the design of the levels that doesn't make it feel super repetitive as the first game does. But I mean, you're still doing the same type of shit. Defend, kill, destroy, escape, that sort of stuff. But also, like, what do you expect to do in an Iron Man game? There's actually one decent set piece that made me wish there was like more of these. That would have really helped. But it's weird because sometimes the missions just end. You know, enemies might still be on the field, or life on the boss's life bar is still there, and it just cuts off. It's very jarring and makes you feel like you failed. But you didn't. Just the cutscene comes on and you keep going. The type of enemies don't really change much either. There's choppers, there's more boots on the ground type of guys, tanks, guys in their Team Iron Man suits. They're just pretty similar type of enemies. There is a couple of boss fights that actually feel like boss fights this time, so I appreciated those. I know that most of what I'm saying doesn't sound too bad, but then the game will do things or stuff will happen that show you how awful the game actually is. Like in this one War Machine level, which is simple enough. Kill the Tarantula Armiger thing before it destroys the helicarrier. Okay, fine, we've done this before, easy peasy. Ah, no. Let's make it hard by adding a ton of goes to the mix. So not only is the spider mech there's also these guys flying around in suits like from Dune everywhere, and the tarantula looking thing is a menace. So you can't try and kill the Dune guys first because a giant spider mech attacks the carrier, and you can't just attack the spider mech because the Dune guys show up and get in the way. Then more enemies show up. There's just such a mess thrown at you, it just becomes unfun very quickly. Oh, and there's a stupid time limit. It's annoying. But I think the final boss for me was the worst. So you have to split time between Iron Man and War Machine in this mission. War Machine is outside fighting Megatron while Tony is inside shooting the guy that he fused with. Well, when you're War Machining outside, there's this weird rubber banding going on. Can't get too close, but you can't get too far either. It's just very bad that it gets in the way of what you're trying to do, which is hit Megatron on his weak spots. Easy enough. But whenever Megatron just decides he's gonna step on you, even though I'm in open space, I can't just fly away to the side. The game really wants me to shoot at the weak spot on the bottom of his foot. And it's like you're trapped in this weird attack vortex where you should easily be able to fly away and regroup, but no. You gotta shoot the stupid thing. Okay, I'll shoot the stupid stinky foot, that's fine. Then you have to hit the spots on his body, but it won't let me get too close, and it won't let me get too high either. Only when he wants me to. So then he does some annoying shit, like you have to shoot him in the back of the head. So what he does, he turns away and he's moving his neck a lot, and the stupid rubber banding doesn't let you get a good shot off. So you're fighting Megatron and you're fighting all the enemies that they throw at you too, and you're fighting the rubber banding and the camera and trying to get a good shot and find a decent angle. Oh, and there's a stupid time limit. It just feels very frustrating. There's no freedom. You can't just do whatever you want. So it led to very unsatisfying gameplay at the end. The mission design made it really annoying. Just let me fly around and shoot Megatron. So I managed to do all that just to get to the end where Tony gives this weird ass speech, and he's doing it with his weird blinking thing in his face so he looks like he's hammered drunk.
Once upon a time, I didn't know how to save the world. That was then. Wait, okay. Once upon a... I still don't know how to save the world, but I'm pretty good at guessing. What?
This game might actually be worse than the movie. It started off promising, but ended up feeling rushed and very messy towards the end. Neither game is better than the movie. I do think that Iron Man 1 is the best movie out of the three, so let me know what you think down in the comments. But as far as these games go, are they as bad as they said they were? Well, in some elements, yeah. But in others, it actually provides something kind of interesting. I feel like if we were to combine the best of both games, you have enough to have something really cool. From what I've heard, the best game might actually be Iron Man 3, which was an endless runner mobile game. EA has been working on an Iron Man game for a while now, from the Motive team that worked on Anthem and the Dead Space remake. Say what you want about Anthem, but that was a mech suit game where you're flying around and shooting shit. So they have some experiencing in combining all the skills that Iron Man has, flying around and then landing down and throwing hands. And from what I saw from an alleged leak, it does sound pretty good. I just hope it's not too good to be true. But if it is true, then I really can't wait. And if you're like me and can't wait either, let me give you a little something to focus on in the meantime. Damn! Well, those were my thoughts on the Iron Man games. Feel free to drop yours down in the comments. Do you have any nostalgia for these games? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Any and all thoughts, let them fly down in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure to like this video since you made it this far, and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do you.
Nobody come down here. You guys got that?